this could help me out in the future. But I mean, yeah, I get they start calling me Leatherface and stuff, but Serge can't talk too much. We got him on a trading block right now, so whoever wants him, let us know. We're trying to trade Serge.
Now, Perk, obviously Serge is obviously not on the trading block. He was kidding around, which I think is funny because, look, Kawhi is supposed to be a fun guy, right? That's what we've heard about him. Mm-hmm. But the mask, whose mask? Who wore it better? The all-time mask man, Richard Hamilton, or Kawhi Leonard?
Oh, it's Richard Hamilton. I mean, like, he set the trend. Like, that matched him. When you thought of it was knew that his mask, when he had that mask on, he was going to be on the tap. I don't know what that was Kawhi had on, but whatever it was he had on, he was on a mission. The mask worked because I haven't seen Kawhi this intense in a long time. And he's a phenomenal basketball player. But, George, I guess it was the mask, but he was on a mission last night. He was on the mission. So if he's going to play like this, wearing that ugly mask, then if I'm Ty Lue, I'm going to tell him, you got to keep this on.
Yeah, I'm with you wholeheartedly. And yeah, Rip Hamilton is the all-time masked man in the NBA. Although we were talking about LeBron earlier. Remember, LeBron wore that black mask back in the day with the Heat when he busted his nose that one time. He looked like, something out of like a cartoon type movie, like a superhero movie. But anyway, let's move on to the game, Perk. The Clippers are now 4-1, including a win over the Lakers and LeBron James, including a win over Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets, and now the Blazers, three of the top teams in the Western Conference. They do have that 51-point loss to Dallas, which is their only blemish. But what kind of statement did the Clippers make last night?
They made a huge statement with all the riffraff that was going on between the Blazers and the Clippers. I thought the Clippers took this game personal and they wanted to send a message, and they did just that. From the jump, they set the tone. They approached this game like it was a playoff game. They were into the Blazers' airspace. They were contesting shots, making them miss, not hoping that they miss. And on the other end, they were attacking. They were attacking downhill. They were getting out, playing with great pace. They were tied on the string. And this is the Clippers team that we have been wanting to see. They look fun. They was fun to watch last night. You could tell Ty Lue is preaching team ball because they're passing up good shots to get great shots. This is the Clippers team that I've been expecting, and they looked phenomenal last night. I got to give credit where credit's due.
I'll say this. I thought you brought up a great point about Kawhi specifically, just kind of his demeanor. I think the team in general this season has a different demeanor so far, Perk. Outside of that one ridiculous game against the Mavericks, I mean, they look like they are all business so far this season. Is that a fair assessment?
That is a fair assessment, and especially Paul George. He has been playing phenomenal right now. Like, if you had to take 5 guys that will be in the MVP conversation for the first week of the NBA season, Paul George's name should be mentioned. And he's doing a lot of things. I'm watching his playmaking ability. We all know that he could put the ball in the basket, but the way that he's using the pick and roll, throwing lobs to Big Zubac at the rim, and facilitating for others. I mean, when you look at guys like Nicholas Batum, who seems like to me he is having fun, and I'm watching him play. We haven't seen him play at this level in a long time. He's defending at a high level. He's knocking down shots. He's causing havoc up in the paint. Pat Bev is doing what Pat Bev do. It's just, hey, they wanted Ty Lue. Ty Lue is there, and it seemed like a big change. I hate to say it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think there's any question. The Batum thing is going to be big for them, too. So far, to your point, he has played his role perfectly.
But I'm going to go on. We're going to go on here. Coming up in the show on his 36th birthday, we're going to ask how long LeBron can continue to be at or near his prime. You'll want to hear Perk's response on this one. First, though, it's just one game. We're hearing that a lot around the NBA right now as teams struggle to find their footing after the shortest offseason in history. Hey, so we lost by 20, won by 40, whatever. It's just one game. Which is true, except one game doesn't mean what it used to. In this shortened season, every outing is one of 72, not one of 82, which is why when, say, Ja Morant is projected to be out 3 to 5 weeks with an ankle injury, it's all that much more devastating for a team like Memphis. It's also why, in Philadelphia, even just the second week of the season, it feels like there's an invisible James Harden-shaped ticking clock over the Sixers' heads. Will Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers be better than their predecessors at putting Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons in position to flourish together? Or at some point, some number of games in, will it be time to push the button on a train for a certain bearded gentleman from Houston? The Sixers did seem to do the right things this offseason, making moves to create more spacing for their two stars, and they said the right things in training camp. Ben Simmons told reporters that former teammate Josh Richardson, quote, was definitely right when Richardson said there wasn't enough accountability in Philadelphia last year, and that since Doc arrived in town, Simmons said, quote, it's been great to see that and see guys be accountable for certain things and come here ready with a different mindset, unquote. Of course, those are all nice words, but now that the season has officially started, the games are what count. And last night against the Raptors, things did not start out well for the Sixers. Philadelphia trailed for most of the first half, shooting 29% from the field, just 22% from three. Meanwhile, on the other end of the floor, Toronto was getting so many good looks from three, you wondered if the Sixers arena staff had accidentally left a bunch of welcome mats out beyond the arc. There was also Kyle Lowry back in his hometown doing Kyle Lowry things. Yet slowly, as the game ground on, Philadelphia pushed its way through. Tobias Harris and Seth Curry both found their shots, combining for 18 points in the third quarter alone. Embiid persisted through an injury scare to finish with 29 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, with a 14 of 16 performance at the line to boot. And the Sixers defense buckled down hard, holding Toronto scoreless for nearly 4 minutes in the final frame to turn the game for good. Now, this wasn't officially the game winner, but it felt like it. A nice Curry three on a pass from Embiid, where Curry was so wide open thanks to a triple team on Joel. The Sixers' updated roster construction working exactly like it's supposed to there. So what does it all mean? Should we be thinking this is finally the year that Embiid has a legit place in the MVP discussion? Should we be worried about Simmons still being predictable in the half court? Or should we be noting his defensive versatility as a marker of the Sixers being able to eke out more gritty wins like this one? Or should we not draw any conclusions at all? Sure, it was only just one game. But in this city, in this season, that means more than it ever has. So, Perk, seeing as how that was just one game last night, they're just a few games in, are you buying the Sixers roster tweaks so far?
I am buying it. The thing that the Sixers were missing was spacers and guys that could shoot the lights out of the ball. You look at a guy like Danny Green. You look at a guy like Seth Curry, who I think just get props for shooting the ball. But Rachel, he's a hell of a basketball player. He's an underrated defender. He's an underrated playmaker. And then when you look at the structure of their team, just think about this. Tobias Harris was having one of the best seasons of his career with the Clippers under Doc Rivers. And Joel Embiid, I love what Doc Rivers is going to do for Joel, and what he's doing for Joel is he's holding them accountable, not on the offensive end, but on the defensive end. And it's a ripple effect. So when you can hold Joel accountable, not Ben Simmons is saying, you know what, I could play for Doc. I could go out here and lay it all out on the line. I love the way this team is structured. I think they're moving in a great direction. And last year at this time, if they were down at halftime like they were to the Raptors, I don't know if we would have seen this same fight. But since Doc Rivers is there, one thing I know about Doc, his halftime speeches are going to be on point, and he's also going to get guys to rally back and play together, and that's what we saw yesterday from the 76ers.
You know, from the start, when Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers got together there, they made it very clear that this was going to be a Joel Embiid-focused team. Everything that they've said and done has pointed to that. They haven't gone away from Ben Simmons, but they have really played to Joel. And those roster tweaks that you mentioned, Rachel, were about Joel. And if you watched this game last night, they ran their offense through the end of the game, through Joel Embiid, with high pick and rolls. In their opener, where they had a 10-point comeback victory over Washington in the fourth quarter, they ran that whole fourth quarter offense through Embiid in the post. And, you know, that is really what this is about. This is about giving Joel Embiid what he wants, which is the ball in his hands and control to be the kind of MVP candidate that he thinks he can be. The other thing is, Doc Rivers is putting no pressure on Ben Simmons on three-pointers. He has not taken a three-pointer yet. Last year, remember, Brett Brown